The courtroom echoed with single gunshot. Smoke filled the room. Emma slowly opened her eyes. She wasn't hit. The architect had disappeared. On the judge's bench, only one black envelope remained. Across the front were the words, "The final witness has arrived." The next morning, police gathered at a quiet cemetery. A grave carried one name. David Harper, officially. He had died 20 years ago. Emma stared at the headstone. Then, fresh footprints appeared behind the grave. Emma followed the footprints. An old man stepped out from behind the trees. He removed his hood. Emma froze. It was David Harper. The man the entire country believed was dead. He quietly said, "I've been waiting 20 years to testify." David was taken to a secure courtroom. Judge Sinclair looked at him in disbelief. We buried you." David smiled sadly. "You buried a fake body. The witness protection program hid me. I am the last surviving witness." David began speaking. 20 years ago, I secretly recorded a meeting. The architect wasn't alone. There were powerful people helping him. Emma leaned forward. "Do you still have the recording?" David nodded. "I never lost it." David handed Emma a small metal key. Locker 101. Central Railway Station. The truth has been waiting there for 20 years. Emma and Lucas immediately left the courthouse. Emma unlocked the forgotten railway locker. Inside, an old cassette tape. A newspaper and dozens of photographs. One photo showed the architect shaking hands with powerful officials. Lucas restored the cassette. The recording played. A familiar voice echoed. "We'll blame Ethan Brooks. No one will ever know the truth." Emma recognized another voice. Judge Sinclair looked horrified. "I know who that is." Emergency hearings were announced. The courtroom filled once again. For the first time, David Harper entered as a witness. Every camera turned toward him outside. Crowds waited for the truth. David looked directly at the judge. He took a deep breath, then said, "The first person involved was..." The courtroom doors suddenly burst open. Masked gunmen rushed inside. Gunfire erupted across the courtroom. People screamed. SWAT officers rushed inside. Emma pulled David Harper behind the witness stand. The masked attackers weren't trying to kill everyone. They wanted only one man, the last witness. Judge Sinclair opened a hidden door beneath the courtroom. "Hurry!" Emma, Lucas, and David entered the underground tunnel behind them. The attackers followed. Footsteps echoed through the darkness. The chase had begun. While running, David handed Emma a small voice recorder. "If anything happens to me, play this in court." Emma pressed play. A voice echoed. "The meeting starts now." The recording had been made 20 years earlier. The recording revealed a room filled with powerful voices. One man said, "Ethan Brooks will take the blame." Another replied, "And every witness disappears." Emma and Lucas listened in silence. The conspiracy had been planned from the beginning. The tunnel ended beneath the old courthouse. A steel door opened outside. Police helicopters circled overhead. David looked toward the sky. "They found us." A red laser appeared on David's chest. Emma shouted, "Down." A sniper fired. The bullet struck the concrete wall. SWAT teams immediately searched nearby rooftops. The sniper disappeared once again. Back at headquarters, Lucas unlocked an encrypted hard drive found inside locker 101. A folder appeared. Project Last Witness. Inside were photographs, secret payments, recorded phone calls, and every order signed by the architect. David finally looked at Emma. "I've hidden this name for 20 years, he slowly spoke. "The architect's real name is..." Suddenly the lights inside headquarters went out. Someone had cut the power. Emergency lights flickered. A tall figure stepped through the darkness, calm, silent, wearing black gloves. The architect had come himself. He looked at David. "You should have stayed dead." The architect escaped through the emergency exit. Emma chased him across the rooftop. Rain poured heavily. For the first time, she was only a few steps behind him. The architect stopped, turned around, and smiled. Rain poured across the rooftop. Emma aimed her pistol. The architect stood calmly at the edge. "You've chased me for 20 years, and you're still asking the wrong questions." Emma stepped forward. "This ends tonight." The architect smiled. "No, it begins." A helicopter suddenly appeared above the rooftop. Powerful winds filled the air. A rope dropped beside the architect. Before Emma could fire, he grabbed the rope. Within seconds, the helicopter disappeared into the storm. Emma watched helplessly. Back at headquarters, David Harper placed an old notebook on Emma's desk. "I couldn't reveal everything before." Inside the notebook were handwritten names. Every politician, every judge, every officer who had secretly worked for the architect. Lucas discovered another audio file hidden inside the notebook. He restored it. A familiar voice spoke. "If this recording is found, it means I've already failed." The voice belonged to Emma's late father. The room fell silent. The recording continued. "Emma, if you're hearing this, you've uncovered the truth. but never chase revenge. Choose justice. Tears filled Emma's eyes. Her father had known she would one day inherit the case. Lucas traced encrypted files to an abandoned data center. Deep underground rows of silent servers still glowed. Every operation of the architect had been stored there. Emma whispered, "This is his entire empire." Lucas decrypted the servers. A document appeared. Active operatives. Hundreds of names filled the screen. Some were politicians, some were judges, some were police officers. Emma realized the conspiracy was far bigger than anyone imagined. Suddenly, police sirens surrounded the building. Armed officers entered. Their commander stepped forward. "You are under arrest." Emma stared in disbelief. "On whose authority?" The officer replied. "National security." Lucas whispered. "They've infiltrated everything." Every monitor suddenly switched on. The architect appeared live. He looked directly into the cameras. "You wanted the truth, so let the whole country hear it." A countdown appeared. 30 seconds until national broadcast. The countdown reached 0. Every television, every phone, every public screen across the country switched to the same broadcast. The architect removed his hood. For the first time, the entire nation saw his face. Emma whispered, "We finally know who he is." The broadcast continued. For the first time, the nation saw the face of the architect. Police officers, judges, politicians, everyone watching froze. Emma looked at the screen. "I know him." Lucas turned. "It can't be." The architect smiled. "My real name doesn't matter, my idea does." The architect looked directly into the camera. "I never killed anyone. I simply gave people a choice. They chose power, they chose money, they chose corruption. I only built the system." Silence spread across the courtroom. Everyone finally understood the conspiracy had always been bigger than one man. David Harper slowly stood. "I have one final piece of evidence." He handed Emma a sealed envelope. Inside, an original signed document. 20 years old. Every member of the conspiracy had signed it, including the architect. There was no denying the truth anymore. Judge Sinclair stood. "For crimes against justice, I issue an immediate arrest warrant." Police units across the country moved simultaneously. Dozens of corrupt officials were arrested. The network that had survived for decades finally began to collapse. Emma tracked the architect's signal. It led to an abandoned lighthouse overlooking the sea. She climbed the spiral staircase. At the top, the architect stood waiting. "This is where every story ends." Emma replied, "No. This is where justice begins." The architect placed a pistol on the floor. No more followers, no more tricks, only one decision. Emma slowly picked up the weapon, then she unloaded it. She threw it into the sea. "I won't become what you are." For the first time, the architect looked surprised. Police helicopters surrounded the lighthouse. SWAT officers stormed inside. The architect didn't run. He slowly raised his hands. "I spent 20 years controlling justice. Today, justice controls me." Emma placed the handcuffs on him. The longest investigation in the country's history was finally over. Weeks later, the court officially overturned Ethan Brooks' conviction. After 15 years, he walked out of prison. As a free man, reporters surrounded him. He smiled. "I never wanted revenge. I only wanted the truth." David Harper prepared to leave the courtroom. Emma asked, "What will you do now?" David smiled. "My job is finished. The truth finally has a witness." He walked into the sunlight and disappeared into the crowd. That night, Emma returned to her office. The evidence board was finally empty. She smiled for the first time in years. Then someone knocked. Knock. A young courier stood outside. He silently handed Emma a small black envelope. Inside, only one handwritten sentence. "Every ending is someone else's beginning." Emma looked out at the city lights. The screen slowly faded to black. The end.